From Million Dollar Baby to Driving Miss Daisy, Bruce Almighty, and The Shawshank Redemption, Morgan Freeman is one of the most celebrated actors in show business. He's highly respected, and his talent is undeniable, but it's his private life that's in shambles.
Made in the U.S. and packed with the most delicious flavors, RRG Snack's selection of beef and bacon jerky will make your taste buds do the Harlem Shake. Hurry over to rrgsnacks.com and scoop up a bag or two so you can get your munch on while watching our videos.
The idea of creating and being a part of a family is something Morgan Freeman has struggled with his entire life. He was born in Memphis on June 1, 1937, and AARP magazine called his childhood chaotic. His mom eventually left his father, and raising Morgan and his 4 siblings on her own wasn't easy. The family moved around frequently. They relocated to Chicago, but when their living situation got worse, Morgan and his siblings were sent to Charleston, Mississippi to live with his grandparents. His mom eventually moved to the nearby city of Greenwood, Mississippi, so Morgan was able to split his time between the 2 homes. His mom remarried and had more children, and Morgan looked up to his stepdad. Even though Morgan called his stepdad a charismatic gambler and hustler, he considered him the father figure he always wished he had. In later years, his biological dad didn't play a significant role in his life, and Morgan was terrified of somehow following in his footsteps. He said, "I did not want to grow up to be like him. I had to fight not to." After graduating from high school, he turned down a drama scholarship from Jackson State University to join the military and enlisted in the Air Force in 1955. When he had the chance to train as a fighter pilot towards the end of his enlistment period, he realized he would be required to hurt people in a real-world war.
So that was it. It was just like one of those moments in your life when you have to change roads, you know.
He left the military and headed off to Hollywood to pursue his dream of becoming an actor. But he ran into a bit of a roadblock. He started fooling around with a woman named Lolita Polk. He told Esquire magazine, "She said, 'I'm pregnant, so I left town.'" Lolita gave birth to Alfonso Freeman on September 13, 1959, and raised him on her own in California. Morgan moved to New York and lived his life without a care in the world. And trouble found Morgan once again. He told Esquire magazine that while in New York, he met another woman, and you guessed it, he got her pregnant as well. Instead of doing things differently and owning up to his responsibilities, Morgan followed the same pattern. He packed up and left town. The unidentified woman gave birth in 1960 to a child named Saifullah Freeman, and Morgan didn't have a relationship with his son until many years later. Eventually, Morgan had enough of being single, and he decided it was time to settle down. In October 1967, he married Jeanette Adair Bradshaw. Jeanette had a daughter from a previous relationship named Dina. Morgan said he tried to legally adopt the little girl, but there was an issue. He added, "There was some sort of legislative action at the time that stood in the way of adopting a girl. I don't remember." Either way, they became a family, and Morgan still refers to Dina as his daughter to this day. He and Jeanette also welcomed a baby named Morgana in 1971. According to our sources, Morgan finally met his first son, Alfonso, in 1978, 19 years after he abandoned him. Thankfully, they were able to form a tight bond, and Alfonso has appeared in several films alongside his dad, such as The Bucket List, Seven, and The Shawshank Redemption. In the late 70s, Morgan and his wife Jeanette's marriage was quickly disintegrating, and many of their problems were due to his heavy drinking. He told AARP magazine he was depressed because he was working on a television show that he hated. He finally gave up alcohol after waking up face down on the floor in his New York apartment. Getting sober didn't save his marriage, though. He and Jeanette got divorced in 1979, and he moved on and married a costume designer named Myrna Colley-Lee in June 1984. They didn't have any children of their own, but Morgan and Myrna took in his stepdaughter, Dina, and raised her as their own. In 1990, he realized his mom was quickly aging and he wanted to spend more time with her. So he and his family relocated back to his hometown in Mississippi. His mom was living in what had been her parents' house in the city of Charleston, and Morgan and his wife bought adjacent land to build their own home. They transformed it into a 126-acre ranch with a large main house, peach trees, stables, and guest houses. Morgan found peace and solitude living in rural northwest Mississippi, where he had to drive past cotton fields just to make it to the nearest catfish joints. Eventually, he and his business partner, Bill Luckett, opened up an eating establishment in the city of Clarksdale. Morgan described it as his favorite place to conduct business and his favorite place to socialize. His mom passed away from a stroke in December 2000 at the age of 88. And 8 years later, the issues in Morgan's marriage made headlines. In August 2008, Morgan's business partner, Bill, invited a 48-year-old woman named Damaris Meyer to attend a dinner party at a country club. Damaris planned to spend the night with Bill and his wife, but since she had to be at work by 8 a.m. the next morning, and Morgan lived much closer to the interstate, she accepted the actor's invitation to sleep in one of the guest houses on his Charleston, Mississippi ranch. While enjoying dinner at the country club, Damaris said Morgan had several drinks, and he consumed at least one more drink at Bill's house before he and Damaris left to head back to Morgan's ranch. Morgan got behind the wheel of Damaris's 1997 Nissan Maxima, lost control of the vehicle, and ran off the side of the road, flipping the car over several times. For some reason, the airbags didn't deploy. Morgan broke his arm, his elbow, and had minor shoulder damage. He was airlifted to a Memphis hospital to undergo surgery. The nerve damage left his left hand paralyzed. As for Damaris, she suffered broken bones, a strained cervix, and a bunch of negative press. As news of the accident made headlines, she was labeled as Morgan's home-wrecking mistress. She also had to give up her job as an executive assistant at FedEx because the accident left her permanently disabled. 4 days after the accident, Morgan announced he and his wife had been separated since December 2007, and they would be moving forward with their divorce. He eventually settled out of court with Damaris. Even though several media outlets confirmed that there was nothing shady going on between Morgan and Damaris, the National Enquirer dropped a bombshell. Morgan was allegedly cheating on his wife with one of her friends. If that wasn't shady enough, more rumors emerged that Morgan was romantically involved with his 27-year-old step-granddaughter, Edina Hines. Edina is the daughter of Dina, the woman he helped raise during his first and second marriage. According to divorce documents, Myrna told Morgan to stay away from Edina after she heard allegations that his relationship with his step-granddaughter had crossed the line. Morgan reportedly agreed to leave Edina alone, but unbeknownst to Myrna, their alleged relationship continued on for several years. Edina was even escorted to several public events alongside Morgan. As more details about his alleged infidelities made headlines, a source told the National Enquirer Morgan is trying desperately to keep his divorce out of open court so all the shameful facts won't become public. The alleged decade-long affair between Morgan and Edina not only ruined his marriage, but it's suspected that it also led to his breakup with another alleged mistress, a former schoolteacher named Mary Joyce Hayes. Morgan and Myrna's divorce was finalized in 2010. The details of the settlement were sealed, but it was reported that Myrna carried no bitterness toward Edina and agreed to leave her a New York property in her will. Myrna and Edina were also spotted out on vacation together in later years. Morgan was officially single, and gossip websites began running a story that he and his step-granddaughter planned to tie the knot. In April 2012, after years of speculation, Morgan finally addressed the rumors in a statement to TMZ. The actor denied that he and Edina were getting married and was alarmed that legitimate news sources were even reporting the fabricated rumors. Edina issued a statement of her own, which read, "These stories about me and my grandfather are not only untrue, they are also hurtful to me and my family." In August 2015, Idina's on-again, off-again boyfriend, Lamar Davenport, took her life in what was described as a cocaine-fueled exorcism. During his trial, Lamar stated Idina confessed to him prior to her passing that she and Morgan were indeed in an inappropriate relationship at one point. Lamar's defense team didn't go into any further detail, and it's unclear what the alleged relationship with Morgan had to do with the fact that Lamar took her life in the most brutal way. In the end, Lamar was later sentenced to 20 years behind bars. Morgan is still considered to be a legendary actor with one of the most prolific careers. As for his love life, he has yet to remarry, but he's also been keeping his private life to himself. He's content with taking flying lessons, playing one-handed golf, and working out in the gym at his ranch. The only insight we've been given about his personal life is in regards to his family, which he describes as dysfunctional. He admitted to AARP magazine that he wasn't a great father while his children were growing up because he was too busy working. In an interview with Esquire magazine, Morgan said he's the patriarch of his family, and therefore he's the one in control of the money. It appears to be a role that he's not entirely comfortable with. He added that his family asks to see him for his birthday, but then they always throw in a request for him to pay for their airplane tickets as well. So he prefers to be alone for the most part. And can you really blame him? Let us know your thoughts on Morgan Freeman's life, and thanks for watching RRG.